in Alex Tureman. He's the CEO of Bondi Partners, an advisory firm offering strategic counseling. Alex, thanks for being with us. You know, we've heard the DNC's lineup making the case for Joe Biden. It's now his turn to appeal directly to voters. Former President Barack Obama said last night that he was appealing to voters who weren't sure which way they would be voting. How does Biden do that? How does Biden appeal to that particular group?
Well, thanks for having me on. It's a really great question, and you're completely right. The last few nights have really focused on Joe Biden's trajectory throughout his political career, which spans a very long time. There's been biopics focused on his and Dr. Biden. Their love, it's focused on Senator McCain and his relationship when they're in the Senate. But I think tonight, not only will they discuss his trajectory through life, but they'll also talk about his vision for the future. And tonight's overarching moniker is America's Promise. So the vice president will discuss his Build Back Better program, which is really unique because his personal experience as being a very optimistic human being who is pushed through multitudes of family struggles throughout his career. It pairs very well with the policy platform to bring back jobs through this pandemic, to create a national network of contact tracers, and to get teachers back in the classroom and do it safely. So I think there is a really strong argument that the vice president's going to be making tonight, and it parallels perfectly with America's trajectory right now and his personal story.
Mm-hmm. Biden's campaign has been largely virtual compared to the president, who has really hit the ground running in various battleground states. How do you successfully run a campaign online, especially at such a critical moment here when we are so close to the November election?
Well, in the convention, firstly, there have been some clunky spots, but this is the first time in the history of the United States that we're doing it completely digitally. So you can provide a little bit of cushion there on what they're doing. But from a digital standpoint, they've been pushing social. They've been pushing their messages and hosting fundraisers digitally and hosting caucus gatherings digitally. And thus far, all feedback that I've heard has been very positive. So they're going to keep going into the battleground states which they're focused on, which are Arizona, Florida, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. They're going to. I think we're going to see some physical stops in there, and it's going to help now having Senator Kamala Harris on the ticket to get out there and tag team those states. But it is going to be heavily digital. There's not going to be the traditional knocking of doors, but you can still get a lot done over phone and email.
Alex, you mentioned that we're going to be hearing more about the issues from Joe Biden this evening, which is a really good thing because critics say there hasn't been enough of that. We've heard a lot of attacks on President Trump, but not so much about the platform and the issues. Given the fractures that we have seen in the party with the dividing line sort of between progressives and moderates of the Democratic Party, how does Joe Biden appeal to both progressives and moderates when you have the president of the United States out on the campaign trail painting Joe Biden as, quote, a puppet of the radical left movement?
Yeah, I think ultimately the keystone of his policy argument will be the Build Back Better program. So there are over 30 million out-of-work Americans right now. Just this morning, there were another 1.1 million unemployment claims. And folks are worried. They're scared. They're not only scared of being out of work, but they're scared of the coronavirus. So the Build Back Better program will really roll out a large-scale infrastructure program, along with an idea that we're going to tackle the climate crisis by creating clean energy jobs. And I think it's extremely intelligent of the campaign to push that message as well, because it's not simply a moral argument. It's also an economic argument, a jobs argument. And the same thing with the coronavirus. That's a massive hurdle that not only America, but the world's facing right now. And the Biden campaign and Vice President Biden are pushing the idea that we're going to create a national network of contact tracers. We're going to provide first responders, doctors, and nurses on the front line of this with the funds they need. And we're going to create jobs once again. So there is both a moral argument and a job argument once again. So I think it's a really powerful argument, and it ties in perfectly with Vice President Biden's life. I mean, having lost his spouse and his young daughter very early on in his career at the age of 29, and having lost his son Beau, who served overseas and was the Attorney General of Delaware. I think those policy issues dovetail very well with his personal story. And ultimately, Vice President Biden's someone who when faced with a hurdle, picks himself up, dusts himself off, shaves, puts on a suit, and goes to work. And I think his vision is going to paint the story of how America can just do just that.
All right. Alex Tureman with Bondi Partners. We really appreciate you being with us. Thanks.